good morning, and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. I'm so glad that you've joined us this morning. We have a lot to talk about. We also have a very special guest, Glenn Davis from the Ramp Guys. You may have heard of the Ramp Guys recently. They just made their 700th ramp for those in need, whether it be because of someone's age or health. It's a really neat organization, and I'm excited to bring that interview to you in the 7 o'clock hour. But let's get right to it. Boy, the media's turned on Nikki Haley quickly, haven't they? What happened? Oh, that's right. She said she was going to vote for Trump. Now she's not the darling of the media anymore. We'll be talking about that. We've got some international updates. We've got local updates. I'm going to tell you a little bit later on about the school budget votes. 97% passing, but here locally, not hitting that 60% threshold in the Corning Painted Post School District. So we'll tell you what that means. I finally got to the bottom of it, and we'll bring that to you in just a little bit. First, I know this is going to be heartbreaking for some of you who are checking your 401ks and your retirement plans to see if you could purchase Graceland. The story we brought to you yesterday is that really got pretty crazy. As part of a fraud suit lodged by Elvis's granddaughter, Riley Cano, I don't know how they're pronouncing her name, and I apologize. The judge blocked a foreclosure sale planned for Graceland that was scheduled for today. After the ruling, someone appearing, this is where it gets really weird, appearing to represent the creditor at the center of the legal drama, told the AP that it would drop its claim to the estate. In a signed affidavit, Kimberly Philbrick, who supposedly notarized the loan documents that were in the center of all this, said she never met Lisa Marie Presley, let alone notarized her signature. The estate itself is worth about $5.6 million and brought in nearly $80 million in 2022 as a popular tourist destination. So there's your update on something completely different than what you would call breaking news. Though there was breaking news yesterday and still boiling over today, and that is the explosive emails that show the NIH advisor deleting records and using secret backdoor channels to help Fauci, Dr. Fauci, the scientist we were supposed to trust at every level of the pandemic, using that backdoor channels to evade COVID transparency. A top advisor at the National Institutes of Health deleted records critical to uncovering the origins of COVID-19 and used a secret back channel to help Dr. Anthony Fauci and a federal grantee that funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan, China, evade transparency. Dr. David Morans, another scientist, doctor we were supposed to trust, improperly conducted official government business from his private email account and solicited help from the NIH's Freedom of Information Act office to dodge records requests, according to emails revealed in a memo by the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic. Saying in one email, I learned from our Freedom of Information Act lady here how to make emails disappear after I'm, how do they say that? Foiled, isn't it? But before the search starts, so when the Freedom of Information Act request comes through, he found ways to make the emails disappear, but before the search even starts. Plus, I deleted most of those earlier emails after sending them to Gmail. I ask you both that nothing in all caps, gets sent to me except to my Gmail. Now, what was his excuse in front of that hearing yesterday? Well, he apologized, but it was all a joke. It was all in fun. Oh, we've all had those fun email chains where you talk about deleting sensitive information. It must have been like a frat house there, having so much fun in the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Let me try that again. This is what he said in front of the congressional hearing. It's just something I'm very ashamed that I can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. He called the emails black humor. Republican lawmakers accused Morins of deleting emails and using his personal email account to skirt Freedom of Information Act requests. And using a personal email account is really a no-no. In one of the newly released, I told you about that email. During Wednesday's testimony, Morins said that was a joke when he talked about making emails disappear and how to do it before and after the search started. That was a joke. Are you sure about that? We could subpoena her email too, meaning the Freedom of Information Act request lady, who he discussed how he can hide and be secretive with these sensitive emails. You said she gave you advice. So you were lying then, but telling us the truth now. And why lie about something so mundane? I wasn't lying. I was making a joke, he said. I said something like, I'll have a way to make it go away. But that was just a euphemism. Oh, boy. These scamps and their humor. Morins also wrote from his personal email account saying, we are all smart enough to know to never have smoking guns. And if we did, we wouldn't put them in emails. And if we found them, we would delete them. The irony of that statement as he put a smoking gun in an email. But, of course, you can't really blame the people involved in this in a way, because it's very much like Cuomo when he was full of that star power and that ego during the pandemic. And I'm not trying to tie this in with Cuomo for any other reason, that these people were so lauded and so praised, and they were the ones that we were supposed to adhere to their every whim, that I'm sure he believed he'd be able to delete this. He talked to a Freedom of Information Act request lady. He knew how to do it. He knew how to get away with this. What was he getting away with? Chairman James Comer asked Morins if he deleted any records or had any conversation with Fauci regarding deletions. Not to my knowledge. Now, this guy does not seem to be the most truthful person. But again, we're at the issue of defining what's a federal record. I deleted a lot of emails. I do it every day. At one point in the hearing, it got so bad that Morins offered, I don't know what to say except I'm sorry. Writing back in September of 2021, he says, as you know, I try to always communicate on Gmail because my NIH email has Freedom of Information Act requests constantly. That's the point, sir. Stuff sent to my Gmail gets to my phone, but not my NIH computer. So that, of course, is the whole point of the Freedom of Information Act requests. What is there to hide? And is that really this gentleman's sense of humor? Let me tell you how you could feel confident that I can delete your sensitive emails. LOL? He is accused of improperly conducting official government business from his private email account and solicited help, as I mentioned, from the Freedom of Information Act request, but laughed it off. And we could go through all the emails. There's no sense. They're all very similar. Don't worry, send to my Gmail. We know how to delete. We will never put a smoking gun in an email except for, isn't that what you are saying? Didn't you provide that smoking gun when you said that in an email? Diane Cutler, an ex-investigator for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, said he has violated the ethical standards of conduct for executive branch employees and had potentially violated criminal law. But again, I can't emphasize this enough. These are the people we were told we had to trust with not just our well-being, with every aspect of our life. And if you don't follow the science, boy, you were ostracized. You were a social pariah. You had to follow the science. And the science has led to, following that science has led to deleted emails and ways to cover up what I guess they felt would be a bad PR. But again, you've got the ego. It's just like with Cuomo. You've got the I'm untouchable attitude during the pandemic because you had the media, you had powerful Democrats all saying that you have to follow the science, that you have to trust these people. And if you didn't, you are a crazy person. And in some instances, if you didn't follow, you could be charged, you could be fined. You remember the time well. Both Republicans and Democrats on the panel were united against Morin's. The information contained in these 30,000 pages of email are deeply concerning and, in my opinion, reflects poorly upon Dr. Morin's and the Office of National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases under Dr. Fauci's leadership and the NIH under Dr. Francis Collins, said Subcommittee Chairman Brad Wenstrup, Republican from Ohio. Dr. Fauci's NIAID was unfortunately less pristine than so many, including the media, would have had us all believe. Yes, I mean, they were pure as the fresh-driven snow. You couldn't question them. You couldn't even ask if this was the proper procedures at the time. Ranking member Raul Ruiz from California, Democrat from California, echoed Wenstrup's remarks and calling Morin's behavior deeply troubling. But cautioned the emails were not a breakthrough moment in actually understanding the actual origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. What troubles me most about your conduct, Dr. Morin's, is the extent to which it so willingly betrays decades of dedication, diligence, and decorum from the thousands of federal scientists and public health workers who came before you, who have served alongside you, and who will serve on in the future. It is not anti-science to hold you accountable for defying the public's trust and misusing official resources. And that's a good point, too, because at the time, any question that we had was deemed anti-science, and you just have to follow the science. And this is what's going on behind the scenes. This sense of humor about deleting emails. Morons, who is currently on administrative leave, characterized the emails as snarky and profane, but repeatedly said he could not recall the circumstances behind the messages. And the most damning email of his back-channel talks with Fauci was a joke and insisted they had nothing to do with the inquiries. I don't remember. It's possible. He and I, meaning Dr. Fauci, usually never talked about that kind of stuff. It would be very unusual if it happened. When pressed, Morin's denied several times that he conducted official business on his personal email account or deleted records, only to later hedge his remarks and point to his efforts to defend Daszak against death threats. I was not aware that anything I deleted, like emails, was a federal record. I have no involvements in any grants and any aspects of any grants, he said, despite having taken credit in emails for helping EcoHealth obtain federal funding and helping defend it as a grantee to NIH officials. I had a personal friend who was in danger of being murdered, Morin said of Daszak at another point. But yet another point, Morin's threw his friend under the bus, quoting somebody who had told him of the controversial EcoHealth president, Peter's his own worst enemy because he made some mistakes on that grant. This guy seems sleazy, doesn't he? But here we are, how many years later, and we're finally getting to the bottom of some of what was happening behind the scenes, and I'm guessing this is just the tip of the iceberg. Alarmingly, the emails released Wednesday show Morin's lightheartedly discussing getting a kickback for his assistance to the disgraced Manhattan-based EcoHealth Alliance, which funded experiments on bat coronaviruses at the WIV between 2014 and 2021. Morin's denied trying to be compensated and described the email as employing typical black humor between people like Peter and me and other folks who show up in these emails. Nicole Malatakis shot back saying, well, I don't think any of us think it's a funny joke. You are representing the United States government. You're representing an agency and you're asking a grantee, do I get a kickback? Wow. But again, you were crazy for having any questions. And Morin's and Daszak never constantly mocked proponents of the lab leak theory, including Senator Ron Johnson and Rand Paul, calling them nutters and conspiracy theorists. Wow. There's some bad emails here. In a November 18th, 2021 email, he revealed that Fauci helped then CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky land her job before suggesting that he believed the reason for it was, and I quote, she does wear a skirt. This is the scientists that we were supposed to follow. Representative Mariette Miller Meeks said at that time in the hearing, I find your comments to be disgusting in regards to that email. Yeah, he had some other, we'll say, dirty, blue emails that I'm not going to get into here at this point. You can find this great extensive coverage at the New York Post. But again, remember, follow the science. All right, we're going to... It's amazing. And again, it's very fascinating to see the things that we were talking about at the time, saying this doesn't seem right. Why can we not question these people at all? To see now, I should say, what was being done a little bit behind the scenes is very, very eye-opening. Speaking of hearings, we're going to talk about an upcoming hearing in the House, and we've got a lot of other issues to get to as well. We're just getting started, and I'm already running late, which is typical because we have a lot to discuss this morning. What do you think about Nikki Haley? Nikki Haley no longer the darling of the media, no longer the person Republicans should look to. Why? Because she is morally corrupt, morally bankrupt, because she said that she would vote for Trump over Biden. So we'll talk about that later on as well. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Your wallet is always in danger. Criminals can hack your information without you even knowing. Introducing Slim Mint, an ultra-thin RFID blocking wallet that keeps your cards and cash protected. Slim Mint uses the latest RFID blocking technology to prevent thieves from stealing your info. It's ergonomically designed to optimize space and keep your belongings organized. With the auto-locking Slim Mint, your cards and money stay securely in place. It has a built-in cash clip and a flexible outer band to fit your additional cards and cash. Call or click now and get Slim Mint for just $29.99. Order in the next 5 minutes and you'll get an instant $10 discount. So it's only $19.99. But wait, due to rising costs, this may be your last chance to get Slim Mint at this low price. There's a strict limit of 3 Slim Mint wallets while supplies last. Don't wait, order now.
Call 1-800-654-6604. Call or visit slimmintwallet.com. So call 1-800-654-6604. Order now.
This is the make or break moment.
Oh my goodness!
Not just for the day, but for the years to come. This is where a race isn't just about the race. It's about the doors it can open.
That kid is amazing.
The number of fans wearing your number. This is the chance to carve your name into the history books. This is the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
I think because of the storms last night, we may have lost our roof cam power, as you can see there. So no beautiful view of Market Street this morning. But it is for me. I get to see the beautiful view, but not from the roof as we broadcast live from the Hesselson's studio. Okay, here's a comment from a viewer. That actually took quite a bit of courage for Nikki Haley to flip like that. However, Chris Christie did the same thing. Did he? Did he do that recently? I thought, oh, maybe back in 2020. I don't remember him saying that, Chris Christie. But I don't disagree. Let me preface why I'm saying what I'm saying. I just think it shows, again, the example of the media and how they try to control who the Republicans pick. Mind you, they don't want to see Republican win ever. So that's why we highlighted so often. Oh, okay, yeah. So Christie did back in the last election. I forgot about that. Thank you. But I just highlighted because the media will promote a candidate until they're no longer useful. So no, that is not so much a dig at Nikki Haley as it is the media. So maybe I started off a little bit too harsh there. But to see the difference, like a light switch, in their coverage of Nikki Haley is just a little fascinating when you want to analyze how the media is so hypocritical, so easy, so quick to show their true colors like they did in this instance. And we're going to get to that later on. Just quickly, members of Congress are preparing to grill, and I quote, morally bankrupt administrators from Northwestern, UCLA, and Rutgers, and that is happening today. Representative Elise Stefanik said Northwestern, Rutgers, and UCLA negotiated with pro-Hamas terrorist encampments, bent the knee to the radical anti-Semitic mob, and surrendered their campuses to illegal anti-Semitic encampments while repeatedly ignoring the harassment and violence against Jewish students and faculty. House Republicans will use every tool at our disposal to ensure accountability from campus leadership for allowing self-proclaimed terrorists to turn once acclaimed American colleges into dens of anti-Semitic hate. What a powerful statement there from Elise Stefanik. Elise Stefanik, at one point, and as far as I know, still very much in the running for the VP spot for President Trump. Titled Calling for Accountability, Stopping Anti-Semitic College Chaos, the hearing will begin this morning, and it will include Northwestern president, UCLA chancellor, Rutgers president. They will testify before the House Committee on Education and the Workforce regarding their dereliction of duty to Jewish students. That's another part of this that's been overlooked in the discussion, not on this program, but in the media in general. Overlooked in the fact that the administrators, the faculty, chose a side. They chose the side of hate over the protection of their Jewish students. They wanted the safety, especially at the encampments, safety for the pro-Hamas protests, and were never once concerned about the growing anti-Semitism, never once concerned about the intimidation, the violence against their Jewish students. They chose, and that was early on, which side they wanted to be on. The American people want answers. Why are some of our most prestigious universities backing down in a moment that requires moral clarity? The disruptors showing up at schools nationwide have been taught these tactics because weak and morally bankrupt administrators refuse to take decisive action, said Republican New York Representative Brandon Williams. Now, this committee is the same body that grilled the president of Penn, Harvard, and MIT last year. Elise Stefanik was already a pretty well-known name, but that put her, I think, higher up, perhaps on Trump's radar. So that'll be something we'll watch closely. I know we've talked a lot about the anti-Semitic pro-Hamas protests on college campuses quite frequently, so we'll try to give you some updates on the show tomorrow. Also, something you may not hear on other media outlets, NYPD has dropped charges against many of the, quote, pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel demonstrators. The NYPD has declined to prosecute numerous criminal summonses against demonstrators arrested across several New York City university campuses. It's unclear exactly how many of these summonses were cleared from the books over the past several weeks, though it's likely in the hundreds. So this is another way to ignore, probably. Well, despite the move, another 90 people facing misdemeanor and felony charges arrested at Columbia and City College inside barricaded buildings still have their cases pending before the courts, according to Alvin Bragg's office. Isn't he busy? Well, there was that pushback. Remember, the real anger from those in the media and from the administration and the faculty at college campuses wasn't the anger about the Jewish students being intimidated and threatened. The anger was, or they weren't angry that the quote-unquote protests started growing and disrupting graduations, disrupting classes. It was not that it was left to run amok. That was not the problem either. The administrators and the media were upset that police were ever involved at all. The police were called in by these college presidents and deans. That's where the real anger was, because remember, there was the remember, it's still going on, but not only the anti-Israel protests, but there's the anti-American sentiment, the anti-police, to fund the police. So really the anger is more directed, not at this hearing that we were just talking about, but the anger is more directed at the fact that police were asked to intervene in some instances. Now, Sarah Garfinkel writes at the New York Post, and we're not going to go through all of it, but I thought it was a very important message to get across. I'm a Jewish alumni of Christian colleges where I found a safe home. Now, Sarah mentions how there was some shock when she would tell people that she attended Christian colleges, because she actually attended two. Recent events on college campuses have invited me to reflect on my own college experience and what it would have been had I attended another school. At Columbia, I would have fled campus to celebrate Passover safely rather than hosting on my own, inviting professors as I did at Hillsdale College. Oh, isn't that nice? Cedar. When she hosted that and had professors at Hillsdale attend. At Yale, my eyes might have been stabbed by a protester rather than opened as they were at Pepperdine University, where I attended graduate school. Hillsdale and Pepperdine regularly invited Jewish guest speakers for whom students filled lecture halls and commencement spaces to the brim. But this month, students at Duke walked out of their own graduation unwilling to hear comedian Jerry Seinfeld's speech. Jewish students are not safe on many college campuses. At my Christian college, I not only survived, I thrived. I was 33% of the Christian Hillsdale College Jewish population at one point, but nonetheless, I found a holy community in its dining halls and dorms. I studied Hebrew there. This is it goes to show you the difference in what has happened on these college campuses. And I know we've taught so much, and we talked about it so much. College friends who I had not heard from in months offered to shelter my family if we faced local evil, meaning her college friends from these Christian universities. To my Christian college classmates, thank you, and I love you too. Like Hillsdale taught me, I'm going to pursue the good. And as Pepperdine taught me, I'm going to lead by example. I thank you both, and I thank all these colleges that have cultivated communities wherein thinking is free, liberty is treasured, and Jewish students are safe. What a powerful article. Sarah Garfinkel is a high school English teacher and a graduate, as I said, at both Hillsdale and Pepperdine. If you did not see, and one of the reasons we talk about this so much, and we talk about what is happening in Israel, if you did not see the very, very disturbing Hamas videos, we're going to talk about it very quickly. But we have a lot more to get to, so we're going to move along. But I definitely have to talk about Nikki Haley. I see that we're already having good conversations on this. Let me know what you think of Nikki Haley endorsing President Trump and the media's 180 turn on Nikki Haley. That's where I find the humor, not on Nikki Haley's endorsement. We'll talk about that coming up. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking.
Attention, if you were a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
These are few of the over 500,000 very happy Audient hearing aid customers. They're happy because they now live a better life. And they live a better life because they hear better. And they hear better because they purchased a full pair of Audient Adam 2s for only $189.
The Adam hearing aids, the best I've ever come across in my life.
Fit nicely in my ear. Nobody sees them.
Oh, I love the product, love the support, and I'm going to buy another pair.
And it's not just customers who rave about Audient. Forbes ranked them the best hearing aids of 2024. The Adam 2 is so tiny, nearly invisible. They've got great sound quality. And did we mention only $189 for a full pair?
really does make it nice to be able to be out in a restaurant and hear what everyone's saying.
And it's so easy to order. Call Audion right now.
1-800-895-1553.
Shipping is free, and you get a 45-day money-back guarantee.
Name something with a diamond in it.
Diamondback rattlesnake.
It's in the name. Name a low-calorie food you might make your edible underwear out of.
Salmon.
Watch it weeknights. Share it the next day.
Wild caught Norwegian teriyaki.
Sharing the fun. Weeknights on Family Feud.
7 and 7:30 on Big.
Our roof camera temporarily out of order. So welcome back to Frankly Speaking. So these chilling videos of female Israeli soldiers on October 7th, one of the fathers of one of the soldiers said that this is a wake-up call to the world. Look what we're dealing with. You saw how many terrorists were in that video. Now, in the sickening video, Hamas terrorists could be heard gloating and announcing their apparent plans for sexual assault on the soldiers. It's heartbreaking. It's disturbing to watch. And the families who have got to be going through so much, they released these videos to try to get the Israeli government, Benjamin Netanyahu, to get back to the negotiating table. And I'm just not sure, and I know these families are going through so much, but I'm not sure how negotiating with just the animals we saw in those videos, just barbaric, disgusting terrorists that we saw. I don't know how there is a negotiation process to be had. Video of the ordeal has been made public as pressure mounts on Netanyahu to secure the release of the Israelis still held by Hamas. And I think everybody wants that, but I don't know. Negotiations have failed. And again, it's just tough to negotiate with a group that had a ceasefire on October 6th and then did this on October 7th. The Hostages Families Forum is what it's called, released the videos and said the state of Israel cannot accept the reality where its citizens constantly feel their lives are threatened and suffer from unrelenting fear and anxiety. With each passing day, it becomes more challenging to bring the hostages back home, the living for rehabilitation, and the murdered for proper burial. The Israeli government must not waste another moment and must return to the negotiating table today. To me, well, and again, these families are so heartbroken and going through so much. It seems to me Netanyahu's plan of eradicating and destroying forever Hamas is more effective than negotiating with the terrorists from those videos. Netanyahu said Wednesday he is horrified by the videos showing the abduction of our dear field observers. He said Israel will continue doing everything to bring them home, and the cruelty of Hamas terrorists only enhances my determination to fight forcefully until the destruction of Hamas, to ensure that what we've seen this evening will not happen ever again. Now, War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz said when he first watched the video, it made his stomach turn. It's horrifying. However, Gantz said the responsibility of leaders is not only to look reality in the eye, it is to create a different reality, even when it comes to difficult decisions. And that is our responsibility. Now, Israel is furious as well. Just a couple of last updates on Israel. Israel is furious as 3 European countries recognize Palestinian state. We mentioned that yesterday. Foreign Minister Israel Katz charged that the twisted steps of these countries is an injustice to the memory of the October 7th victims, and that this is rewarding terrorism. All right, so when we come back, we've got some polls in regards to this about what people are feeling. I don't know if you've seen it. It was a Siena poll that came out yesterday. It's not just about Israel, and it's not just about the protesters, but we'll start it there, and we'll get into some of what the poll says and other issues. And as I mentioned, we've got some updates on school budgets. This is a comment that we received from a viewer. I don't understand why the media is chastising Nikki Haley for saying she is going to vote for Donald Trump. He is currently the Republican candidate for president, and she is a registered Republican. With the logic individuals utilize with regard to the two-party system, she's going to vote for him, right or wrong, guilty or not. I would agree. I think what the media was hoping beyond hope would happen is that either Nikki Haley tried to do some third-party maneuvering. I think that became too late. So then I think they were really hoping that she would come out like Mitt Romney, a la Mitt Romney, come out and essentially endorse Biden. Now, Romney did that with Hillary Clinton, if you recall. And that's why there was that troubling, and that's why I mention it so often, the troubling aspect when they started, the media that is, started talking about Nikki Haley, where it was so reminiscent of Mitt Romney. And it was so reminiscent of what they said about Jeb Bush and what they said about John McCain that it raised a lot of red flags for many of us. I wasn't the only one the only one saying it. Many of the viewers, the viewers, were saying it as well. So I think because Mitt Romney did come out and essentially say vote for Hillary, that they were hoping for that same speech from Nikki Haley, because they had put a lot of investment in Nikki Haley, propping her up, building her up. So I think they were disappointed. So I'm with you. I don't know why they're shocked, but they were hoping beyond hope that we would have another one of those surprising October endorsements. All right, we got to take another break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
You just have to get in the seat of a John Deere 1 Series tractor. Not because of how easy it is to use, or because of our expert dealers. Not even because it has implements for every job. You just have to get in the seat, because breaking ground on your dream home feels pretty great.
It's an inventory clearance event at Lindsay Equipment. Get 0% financing for 84 months and $1,000 off select John Deere compact tractors.
Stay tuned. This 5-piece bakeware set, a $60 value, absolutely free. Tired of that pan that always sticks? It's so scratched and worn, you can't cook in it.
Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with my new hammered pans from Gotham Steel. This complete 9-piece set is guaranteed to beautify your kitchen like never before.
Gosh, what I love most about this design is this hammered copper look. It would just look so fantastic hanging in my kitchen.
Wow, this is a beautiful pan. It looks great. Look at those eggs dancing around in there. I tell you, I'm sold. Where do I get these? I love them.
Hammered pans are ultra non-stick. Nothing sticks. Even gooey mac and cheese slips out with ease. And look, these sticky candies melted with a torch are no match for hammered pans. Plus, they're super durable, so use metal beaters straight in the pan for a gourmet souffle that slips out and a pan that looks just like new. They're even oven safe up to 500 degrees. So bake homemade chicken pot pie, cheesy lasagna, or this whole chicken dinner. Any recipe looks great in these pans. From steak flambe to delicious desserts and delicate fish, nothing sticks. Plus, the entire set is dishwasher safe and PFOA free.
Similar sets are over $1,000, but you won't pay that. Not $500 or even $300. Get the full 9-piece Gotham Steel hammered set for just 5 payments of $49.99, and we'll even ship it to you free. But order now and we'll drop 1 payment. That's just 4 payments of $49.99, and we'll even guarantee it for a full 10 years. Plus, we'll include this free steamer and strainer, and our 5-piece bakeware set with every pan you'll ever need to make delicious breads, cakes, and desserts. Together, these are an $80 value, yours 100% free. That's a huge 15-piece set with free shipping. Call or click now.
To order, call 1-800-603-3404 or go to buyhammered.com. That's 1-800-603-3404, or you can order online at buyhammered.com.
No beautiful view of Marcus Street this morning. I think the storms may have had something to do with that. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. So according to the Siena poll, the Siena College Research Institute, 72% of New Yorkers, now this is a New York poll, if you're not familiar with the Siena poll, New Yorkers support, 72% of New Yorkers support peaceful demonstrations in support of Gaza. Right? Makes sense. Peaceful. I think most people support peaceful demonstrations. That's not what we're seeing, unfortunately. And 61% say demonstrators have forgotten Hamas started the war, and it now feels like demonstrations have crossed the line into anti-Semitism. Well, I don't think now is the right word. I think from the get-go, they crossed the line into anti-Semitism, and I think you could ask the Jewish students that felt threatened and intimidated. That I think they would probably agree. But 61% say the demonstrators have forgotten Hamas started the war. Yeah, and you can't really blame them. The media omits it. Many of our politicians omit it. They put the blame and the onus on Israel at every step of the way and forget that there was a ceasefire on October 6th. They also forget that the hostages could come back, the war could be over if Hamas chose. And Hamas will not choose. They will not. They're not willing to give the hostages back and start the ceasefire. By a 72 to 22% margin, New Yorkers support students peacefully demonstrating in support of Gaza. By a similar 70 to 22%, they say the protests went too far. So 70% say the protests went too far and they support police being called in. Wow, that's impressive. 70%. A slightly smaller 64% majority say they understand the frustration demonstrators have with the continuing Gaza war, and they also support an immediate ceasefire. Finally, they say 61% the demonstrators have forgotten Hamas started the war, and it feels like the demonstrations have crossed the line into anti-Semitism. Now, some of the other issues, and that wasn't the only reason I brought this up, but some of the other issues to come out of this Siena poll, voters overwhelmingly agree with each of 4 statements concerning the recent protests at college campuses across the state and the nation. As we just mentioned, I don't need to get back into that, said Siena College pollster Stephen Greenberg. While they differ by degree, a majority of Democrats, Republicans, and Independents agree with each of the 4 statements that I made to you. Interestingly, older voters are more likely to say the demonstrators crossed into anti-Semitism and it's okay to call in the police, while younger voters are more likely to support peacefully demonstrating and calling for a ceasefire. Some other information that will come out of this: strong support for protecting minors from social media algorithm, and that's now becoming a major talking point coming out of Albany. This is a New York update, if you will. They are mixed bag of feelings on increasing the beverage container deposit from 5% to 10%. And a thumbs down for consumers paying more to reduce fossil fuel. I wonder why that is. One issue that seems to unite every demographic group in the state is support for a proposal to ban social media platforms from providing addictive algorithm-based feeds to minors without parental consent. Doubling the beverage container deposit from a nickel to a dime is narrowly opposed by all voters. And voters oppose state actions aimed at reducing fossil fuel use that will cause consumers to pay more, 45 to 36% by Democrats. But now this is, okay, now let me skip ahead. I'm sorry, I'm going to too many numbers, and I don't like doing this on the program when we just start reading numbers. But there's something really important here. President Biden has a 45% to 50% favorability rating, so he's underwater. Little has changed from April. His job approval rating improved slightly to 46% as compared to 51% opposed. Now, this is why it's important. And this is Greenberg, the man who we mentioned earlier. Quote, that works for Siena. Quote, in a state that hasn't voted for the GOP candidate for president since Ronald Reagan 40 years ago, and where Democrats hold a 26-point enrollment advantage over Republicans, Biden only leads Trump by a narrow 9 points. While 18% of Democrats support Trump, only 9% of Republicans support Biden, and independents are evenly divided at 37-37. There's only a small gender gap as Biden leads with men by 5 points and with women by 12. Just interesting that Biden is only topping Trump in deep blue New York State by 9 points. Those are numbers that I would think scare the Biden campaign. Now, voters are paying attention to the Trump trial, but the outcome either way doesn't appear to move many voters. 2/3 of voters, 66%, say they are paying a great deal or some attention to Trump's trial. 40% of voters think Trump will be found guilty, while 35% think he will be found not guilty. If he is found guilty, 14% say it will make them more likely to vote for Trump, 17% say less likely, and 65% say it will make no difference. Democrats think Trump will be convicted. Republicans don't. Independents lean towards not. But the outcome, before there is one, doesn't matter much to voters. As a large majority of Democrats, Republicans, and Independents say guilty verdict or not, the outcome will have no effect on their vote. So I'll ask that question to you. Will it affect your vote one way or the other? What that hush money trial brings. Now, we've got a lot more to talk about. We're jumping around a lot of topics this morning. I hope that you're having as much fun as I am, covering as much as we can. Coming up in the next hour, we'll be talking with Glenn Davis from the Ramp Guys. The Ramp Guys just finished their 700th ramp. And this is a pretty neat story that I think you're really going to enjoy. That's in the next hour. But right now, we've got to take another short break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselsen's Hot Tub. Hesselsen's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselsen's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselsen's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselsen's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselsen's.
Attention, if you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
Getting real video for a commercial used to be extremely expensive, but not anymore. WYDC TV Big Fox now offers the Twin Tiers amazing aerial video for your business. We do it with our state-of-the-art drone and commercially licensed aerial pilot. Beautiful HD aerial video and pictures custom-made for your commercial. Call or email now to advertise on Big Fox TV and let everyone see your business in a whole new way.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselsen studio here on Market Street in Corning. Since I just mentioned the hush money trial, quickly, just to show you how the media reacts sometimes, trying to, I think, goad Trump into some type of angry Twitter response or X response. Donald Trump is too scared to speak in his own defense, but that's not slowing him down. This coming from, who wrote this? I think the print cut it off. Sarah Baxter is the director of the Marie Colvin Center for International Reporting. Interesting. Donald Trump has complained nonstop for weeks about being gagged. The hush money trial has been monstrously unfair, he wailed. According to his own version of events, his prosecution was a horrible witch hunt built on lies because America's self-described favorite president never had that interaction with Daniels in the first place, let alone tried to subvert the course of the 2016 election by paying $130,000 for her silence. Isn't it amazing how, again, the media and those that dislike Trump, how they have no concerns about the precedent this is set. We know, we talked about extensively the charges Bragg brought up, where you're talking about, I guess, ignoring statutes of limitations. You're talking about really a convoluted crime where they've never really defined the crime. And we don't have to, for lack of a better term, relitigate conversations we've had about this in the past. But was he afraid of perjuring himself? We can only speculate. Imagine how much more convincing Trump would have been to jurors had he felt able to look them in the eye and say calmly to them that he did not do what was being accused. The fact that his lawyers were terrified, they were terrified, that he would make an appalling witness did not make his decision to remain silent any less craven. This coming from the media. The lawyers terrified, appropriate word. You would think it would result in the collapse of the whole party. Far from it. Americans are so used to Trump bloviating that few people were affronted by his about turn. He is always sounding off about something or other. It has become almost like white noise. If there is a hung jury, we will count it as a victory. If he walks free, he'll be, I don't even know what that word is, so I better not do it. And Joe Biden's campaign will be seriously affected. At least Trump can't help pretending he was forced to stay silent. He was, what? He was forced to stay. Are we ignoring the gag order now? But the frequent disconnect between the words and deeds can lead voters to believe he is not as dangerous as he seems. He likes nothing better than to leave people guessing as to his real intentions. Oh my gosh. You really can't. This is why I said you could write what's going to happen in the debate ahead of time. Because there's articles like this that you can just see coming a mile away. Oh, Trump was too scared. His lawyer's terrified. The voters that are not in support of Biden may come home. This is Biden now, that this article continues with, in the final stretch. But it would be complacent for the Democrats to rely on those voters who are not happy with Biden right now to come back into the fold. It may be that a majority of people in these states genuinely prefer Trump to Biden and are not frightened by the thought of his return to power. See, that's what I mean by the bubble. There may actually be some people that do support Trump. Not in my friend group, not in my working group, not in my bubble. But there may actually be some of these swing states, which he's referring to, that some people may actually prefer what we had under the Trump years to what we're experiencing now. When Trump promises mass deportations of up to 11 million undocumented immigrants and vows to house them in detention camps to speed up the process, does he mean what he says? Will he generally purge thousands of government employees and install his own lackeys in every department? Are these boasts about his direction of travel or evidence of fully planned policies that will tilt America to the hard right for generations to come? With Trump, it's not always easy to tell. The Stormy Daniels trial revealed Trump to be full of hot air. If he wins the election, we cannot be sure which Trump will take power. There you are. Yes, talking, as one viewer said, talking about white noise. Sounds more like we're referring to the current president. That's fair, too. A lot of noise. But also, the media really becomes white noise. The constant, this is a scandal. Oh, my goodness, this trial, he's going to be found guilty. All of this becomes white noise where you zone it out. Right? Because we're so used to the bias. And I know that's why I try to highlight the bias in ways that maybe you don't see elsewhere, because I think a prime example of it is the media and their complete dislike and hatred for Republicans is evident with Nikki Haley. They loved when they thought that she could bring down Trump, that she may get the votes, or at least, they could keep using her and saying, and this isn't her fault, using her and saying, well, look, she's still getting votes even though she dropped out. Look how bad Trump is. And now that she's saying that she will vote for Trump, they have turned on her. So I don't think they ever really had the Republicans' best interest at heart. But we got to take our last break of this hour. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
I'm Marianne Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me, to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to Pangea Global Tea House.
Pangea Global Tea House offers comfort foods of the world. Over 50 teas, a sampling of cuisine from over 10 countries. Globally inspired cuisine and striving to give you an ultimate experience. Come in and try the frankly delicious Turkey Club special for just $20, including your beverage of choice. Pangea Global Tea House. Yet a really good tea house bringing you the flavors of the world, offering something for everyone.
This is the make or break moment.
Oh my goodness!
Not just for the day, but for the years to come. This is where a race isn't just about the race. It's about the doors it can open.
That kid is amazing.
The number of fans wearing your number. This is the chance to carve your name into the history books. This is the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
I know we don't have a view of Marcus Street. I apologize. I mean to leave that up on the screen so long. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking. Hour number one nearly through. It's unbelievable. We've covered so much. When we get back into the next hour, so the second hour, frankly speaking, we're going to give a quick update on the school budgets. We're also going to talk a little bit, obviously, about Nikki Haley. I'd love to hear your opinion on that, what you think of Nikki Haley endorsing Donald Trump and the media's coverage of it now. One other thing on the trial, because we were talking about it. AOC admitting what we all knew and what we've all been talking about. The New York City trial is keeping Donald Trump off the campaign trail. Simple as that. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said, by the way, he's doing it in the South Bronx, not to make a point, but because he's got court, and the man practically has the legal version of an ankle bracelet around him, and he can't leave the 5 boroughs because you always have to be in court. And so it is truly an embarrassment to him. So sometimes AOC may believe herself to be a little bit too smart by half, because what she's saying there is what people have been decrying when it comes to lawfare. Hey, he's embarrassed. He doesn't like it. I mean, it goes back to when they had Stormy Daniels giving such personal information. They want that embarrassment. They want that harassment. So she's excited about saying, oh, yeah, he's also embarrassed. He's embarrassed by the fact that he can't leave because of the court case. So he has to campaign in the South Bronx, which he wants to do. I think it goes to show you really how powerful the Trump, how do I want to word this? Trump's campaign is when it comes to saying, you know what? We're not going to do things the way they've always been done. We're going to talk to people in areas that may not be historically friendly. And he did this back in 2016. I think it's a wonderful move. But AOC admitting to what we all knew, that the trial's keeping him off the campaign trail. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Great news, huh? It's successful in that. It's successful in keeping him off the campaign trail. It's an attempt to embarrass and humiliate him. The list goes on in ways that they've used this lawfare to negatively affect his campaign, all while they campaign on fighting for democracy. Hey, let's keep Trump off the ballots, even though he is the presumptive nominee. That this was in the primary, that the polls show that he would be the nominee. So let's keep him off the ballots. Let's use the judicial system to go after him. Let's do everything we can to make sure that he can't run for president, or if he does run for president, not successfully run for president. Let's try that. Every little thing that we can do. By the way, we're the ones that can save democracy. Oh, yeah, and just to add on top of that, Biden ignoring the Supreme Court and giving away more money in school loan forgiveness. But we are out of time for this hour. We have 1 hour left together, as this morning is going by very quickly. In the next hour, we'll be talking with Glenn Davis during the Steuben Senior Services Fund section of our program. We're going to find out all about the ramp guys. I think you're really going to like that story if you're not familiar with it. I'd love to hear, and oh yes, good point from the viewer. Campaigning in New York, is Trump making lemon from lemonades? I couldn't agree more. He's talking to a community that may not normally get a Republican to campaign there. Also, like that Santa poll said, he's only 9 points down from Biden in New York. Is this a bad thing? I don't think so. I think it's a good thing. He is making lemonade out of lemons. So now we've got to take that break. Stay with us. 1 hour left, and we'll return in mere moments. Stay with us.
Wow, you found it.
I did.
The History of Water Part 6? I've been dying to read this.
I know, honey.
I always wanted that book.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install one of our high-efficiency water softeners, we're thinking about hard water and limescale buildup, so you can just think about longer-lasting appliances and softer skin and hair. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
Was your baby fed a cow's milk baby formula such as Similac or Enfamil? If so, your child may be entitled to significant financial compensation. Evidence shows that cow's milk formulas increase the risk of NEC in premature babies, causing severe harm and even death. If your child was born premature and suffers from NEC, intestinal perforations, sepsis, cerebral palsy, or died as a result, you may have the right to sue for significant financial compensation. Call now for a free case review.
It's a season of Sherry.
Having a good time has always been my number one goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
Hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking. Welcome. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. You may notice that our roof camera may be a little under the weather. Because of the weather, we've got our crack team of experts working on it right now up on the roof. We're doing our best to bring that view back to you. We've got a lot to talk about this morning. We're going to be talking with Glenn Davis, as I said, just to recap. Got this comment from a viewer during the break in response to Trump issue. He is getting more coverage, more free press. He is, as many view, a victim of injustice. Yes, I think that's been one of the takeaways. I know we talked about this with former Congressman Joe Sempolinski not that long ago, that there may be people who supported Nikki Haley or didn't like Trump in general, saying, boy, he's not my cup of tea. I don't like the chaos. I don't like, whatever term they want to use. But they really don't like this thought of lawfare, of using the judicial system to go after Trump. So it is a really interesting vote getter. It's probably not an ideal vote getter, or it would not be for most candidates, but it seems to be in the case of former President Trump. Okay, just an update, because I know we had some questions yesterday morning about the school budget, specifically in Corning Painted Post. Everywhere else essentially passed, and even in Corning Painted Post School District, the bus provision passed, everything else, the library, but not the main budget. As a matter of fact, 97% of school budgets have passed across New York. That is really interesting. 97% of school budgets pass throughout New York. Now, what happens, as in the case of Corning Painted Post, we had some questions about this yesterday. Well, Spectrum News put together, because in New York State there were a handful, 10 school districts out of 700 across the state that had their budgets fail. I'm not going to go through each of them. Ithaca was one of them, though, right down the road. Corning Painted Post area school district, of course, as we mentioned yesterday. If the proposed tax levy is above the tax cap, for example, 60%, approval is required. And that's what we saw with Corning Painted Post School District. Otherwise, a simple majority is what's needed for these votes. So what's next for the districts that had their budget failed, specifically Corning Painted Post School District? District leaders can either go back to the drawing board to create a revised budget that goes up for its own vote, or they can present the original budget again. Revote day is June 18th. So mark your calendars, and we'll talk about that a lot before the 18th. If the vote isn't approved, or they don't want to do a second budget, the district will operate under a contingency budget. These include only teachers' salaries and items the Board of Education determines to be, quote, ordinary contingent expenses. Those are educational programs, preserving property, and ensuring the health and safety of students and staff. Districts cannot go for a third vote, and an annual budget must be in place by July the 1st. So we could see a second budget, a revised budget, with a vote on June 18th. I have not heard, perhaps you have, I have not heard any kind of statement being made. They may not have had time to meet, I'm not positive, but I have not received any word yet. But if the vote isn't approved, or they don't want to do a second budget, the district will operate under, as the one viewer had said, a contingency budget. Okay. That is your update on the school budget. We've got look at all these waves coming in. Got a comment from a viewer, and I don't have the answer, but maybe another viewer does. That's what makes this show unique. Everybody can weigh in. Good morning. Good morning. What is going on with code enforcement in Elmira and Southport? There is your question. I don't have the answer, but if you do, one of the viewers out there has an opinion on it, please feel free to weigh in. Did I just add? Yeah, okay. Waves coming in droves. Thank you very much. Oh, interesting, because we're going to talk about Nikki Haley. If you didn't join us in the 6 o'clock hour, the media has kind of done a 180. It's very interesting. Nikki Haley coming out and endorsing Trump yesterday, saying that she would vote. I don't know if it's an official endorsement or it's more of a I will vote for him type of endorsement, which I know the little nuance there. But so she says that, and now the media that once loved her and once praised her, once thought that she was the answer to Trump, now not a big fan. So what were your thoughts when you first heard? If you are just joining us in the 7 o'clock hour, in the 6 o'clock hour, we had some viewers saying that it was courageous, and I do think. And then another viewer saying it was no surprise. She's a Republican. He's a Republican. What did you think at the end of the day? So I would love to hear your opinion on it. Here's another good comment. So it's election year. How long before government sends us a check for some reason? Great point. Yeah, I could use it, huh? With the way inflation's going. That's a wonderful point, especially in New York State, right? When that'll happen right around election season. It's interesting how that happens, STAR and things like that. Well, I would say, though, to you, the viewer who asked that question, if you had a school loan, I believe you already kind of received that check. Biden, another $7.7 billion announced yesterday that would be erased from the books by U.S. taxpayers for those college students and their degrees. Even though the Supreme Court said not to do it, he is going and doing end runs around the Supreme Court and saying he's got other ways to push it. So $7.7 billion in student loan debt forgiveness. So there's one version of the check that you're asking about. Oh, another wave. Look at all this. I know I said I shouldn't read these live. Okay. There seems to be a ballot issue for Biden, speaking of Biden, in Ohio. President Biden may not appear on the ballot in Ohio come Election Day, said Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose. The Ohio Democrat Party has received weeks of warning from both LaRose's office and the state legislature, saying that Biden is on track to miss the state's deadline for filing as a candidate. LaRose, a Republican, says the Democrat Party has yet to offer a solution that fits with existing law. Now, here's Biden's problem. It comes from Ohio's requirement that parties certify their presidential candidates at least 90 days before election. The Democrat Party won't certify Biden until its national convention in Wisconsin, which is scheduled for August 19th, just 75 days before the election. Very interesting. I've said from here to Colorado that it's the best interest of voters to have a choice in the race for president. I'm also duty-bound to follow the law as Ohio's chief election officer. As it stands today, the Democrat Party's presidential nominee will not be on the Ohio ballot. That is not my choice. It's due to a conflict in the law created by the party, and that party has so far offered no legally acceptable remedy. The Ohio Speaker said today there won't be a legislative solution, so I've sent a letter to Ohio Democrats chair seeking again a solution that upholds the law and respects the voter. I trust they'll act quickly. Ohio Democrats have previously argued that Ohio could accept a provisional certification for Biden's candidacy, but LaRose says state law makes no such allowances. This is very interesting. LaRose said either the state legislature needs to change the law to allow Biden's certification, or the Democrat Party needs to change its plans. Wow. Well, there you are. Just a quick update on that. Boy, we've got a lot of comments coming in. I don't want to read them live on the air. So Nikki Haley, that's a big story of the day. Nikki Haley says she will vote for rival Trump after staying silent for months. Biden has been a catastrophe, she said. Did you also, since I was talking about Biden, I just want to get your take on Nikki Haley, but White House Press Secretary KJP She offered a stunning defense of Biden's refusal for more than 3 years to use executive powers to tackle the U.S.-Mexico border crisis. And there's been a lot of back and forth because we know Chuck Schumer is going to put forth that quote-unquote bipartisan bill because he knows that then, or at least this is what they attempted to do in November, hang that on the Republicans. See, we tried, and they wouldn't work with us. And, of course, we know negotiation in that sense just means caving to their list of demands. But some have called for, because this is normally number one, sometimes number two, on voters' biggest concerns, illegal immigration. So they know they have to do something. So there's been talks of Biden using executive orders. There's been talks of different ways they can maneuver this to take some of the heat off of them. So when asked by a reporter, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said, the reporter asked, why isn't he doing anything? She said, why should he have to do it unilaterally? Justifying Biden's prior inaction as he considers finally using the presidential powers to limit the number of asylum applicants. The 81-year-old president's top spokeswoman added, why shouldn't we do it in a legislative way? The defense was immediately ridiculed online. Jason Miller tweeting, no chance fellow White House spokesman John Kirby would have been smart enough to shift the blame to others and act as though Joe Biden wasn't the sitting president of the United States. This is why she will remain as press secretary. Biden is considering issuing an executive order to shut down the border if migrant crossing surpasses 4,000 per day. And no one knows exactly where that stands at. But again, you're talking 3.5 years and more. A lot of people have said too little, too late at this point. Just interesting. Why should we have to do it? We got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be back after this.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselsen's hot tub. Hesselsen's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselsen's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselsen's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselsen's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselsen's.
I'm Marianne Kurt. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, please listen closely. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. It's a rate lock for your life insurance that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. Many policies you see don't have one, but you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. This plan was designed for people on a fixed income with coverage options that start at $9.95 a month. That's less than 35 cents a day. Your rate is locked in for life. Coverage can never be canceled, and your acceptance is guaranteed. You cannot be turned down because of your health. See for yourself. Call for an information kit and gift. Both are free with no obligation.
Call 1-800-781-9990 for your free information and your free gift. That's 1-800-781-9990. 1-800-781-9990. Call now.
The Bix website is here now. WYDCTV.com. Local and national news that keeps you informed and involved. WYDCTV.com. Today's weather, up to date and in your town. WYDCTV.com. Sports news, local events, and health stories that affect you. WYDCTV.com. The Big Fox website. Your news here now. WYDCTV.com.
broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. I'm Frank Acom. Thanks so much for joining us. Got a lot of comments coming in. Ooh, a lot of waves. Really appreciate that. We've been having a fun first hour of the show. Now we are into our second, and I'm just reading some comments here. What do Eisenhower, Kennedy, Clinton, and Trump have in common? Correct, they all allegedly had mistresses. This entire case has nothing to do with the government. It is a topic, in this case, better broached with Mr. Trump and his wife. This case is just Letitia James, a Democrat, trying to make a name for herself and maybe gain a position in his cabinet if Mr. Biden is successful. Thank you for that comment. I know that Bragg is definitely looking to make waves as well. So yesterday, Nikki Haley says she will vote for Trump. The media has now turned on their darling. Former presidential candidate Nikki Haley officially threw her support behind Donald Trump, saying, and I quote, I will be voting for Trump. Having said that, I stand behind what I said in my suspension speech, meaning that he's going to have to win over her supporters. Trump would be smart to reach out to the millions of people who voted for me and continue to support me and not assume that they're going to be with him. And I generally hope that he does that. Now, how do you reach out? I mean, I guess that's the question. What's the difference between Nikki Haley voters and Trump voters? Meaning, not just that they prefer Nikki Haley. What does she believe, or what do those voters believe is the problem with Trump? I think that could be a signal that, at least for some of these people, you have to go more moderate, maybe go a little bit more leaning Democrat. I'm not sure. I don't know what the answer is. If you are a Nikki Haley supporter, what would Trump need to do to win your support? I don't know if she's ever really said what that means, what it is specifically that they're looking for. Trump has not been perfect on these policies. I have made that clear many, many times. And those policies, let's see. Again, what are the policies? Following her first speech at the Hudson Institute, she explained her reasoning for voting for Trump as looking for a president who would secure the border, back American allies, reduce the debt, and support capitalism and freedom. Trump has not been perfect on these policies. Okay, so he hasn't been perfect on securing the border, backing American allies, reducing the debt, and support capitalism and freedom. So it's got to be the debt issue, probably more than anything, because I know that was something she campaigned on quite a bit, even though we had, obviously, the pandemic and things like that. Haley has continued to get double-digit support in primary elections, but she does, as I said, endorse Trump at this point. In March, a representative for the Republican National Committee told reporters they weren't really worried about winning back Haley voters. The share that are Republicans, we have no doubt that they're going to get them back because they're facing a choice between, continue to slide downhill from an economic standpoint, from a security standpoint, from a border security standpoint, and more of the same, so an actual fundamental change. So we're not really worried about that. Our door's always open, always has been. Yeah, I've been of the mindset that of course, there were Democrats and some independents who wouldn't vote Republican anyway. They supported Nikki Haley. Some as a protest vote against Trump, but more because it was the disruptor, right? It was kind of the, oh, look, the Republicans are going to turn on each other if we can get those numbers up there. There's some of that, but I think there are some that perhaps just don't like Trump. But at the end of the day, in November, will they, when the smoke clears, will they have voted for Biden? That's the big question. I don't think you would consider yourself a Republican if that was your take at the end of the day, that, yep, I guess I'm just going to vote for Biden. But the reason I mention all of this is because the media turns on her so quickly now. In love with her at one point, thinking that she was going to be the answer to Trump. Now, of course, and also, as I mentioned earlier in the 6 o'clock hour, really hoping, beyond hope, that she would endorse, very much like Mitt Romney, endorse somebody else. Endorse Biden, endorse Kennedy, join a third party run, something like that. That was kind of early on, the thoughts on that with the, how long ago was that? That was quite a while ago, where they were actually saying that she could run as third party. But then there was talks of her being on the list for VP. So it's all, it's all speculation. It's all a lot of fun. But the media turned on her in a heartbeat. Haley will vote for the Trump chaos, that she once decried, said Stephen Collinson from CNN. We're going to talk about that and much more with Nikki Haley, some other issues about the presidential debate as well, race, all the presidential info that you need. We're having a busy morning. It's getting a little hectic here. Got a lot of stuff going on. So I am going to talk here in just a second with Glenn Davis when we come back from this break. As always, you can reach out to me. You see the number on the bottom of your screen. Let me know what you think about Haley's endorsement or any of the topics that I brought up or that you know are going on out there in society, in the news. There's a lot going on. So we got to take a break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. Coming up next, the Stu Benz Senior Services Fund section of our program. So do not go anywhere.
Coons sit and sleep in Corning. Hey, did you know that Coons has been in business since 1955? Wow, that's going on 70 years. And did you know that Coons is still family owned and operated? Really? That's 3 generations. Way to go, Steve. Did you also know that their salespeople are non-commissioned and they offer delivery and financing? That's awesome. So why do they want you to shop and compare then? Because they are confident that you won't find a better deal.
Guaranteed.
Coons sit and sleep in Corning.
Shop and compare.
Attention, this is an important message for firefighters, members of the military, and airport workers. For decades, first responders and firefighters at military bases and airports used a chemical-based foam to fight fires. Studies have shown that chemicals used to make aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, are highly toxic to humans and have been associated with several types of cancer. If you or someone you know was diagnosed with any of those cancers, call now for a free case review.
What's up, guys? What I'm about to show you is going to change the way you shave your head forever.
You can shave your head in 90 seconds or less.
With no cuts or nicks. It's 100% waterproof.
It even works in the shower.
Introducing Remington's Balder Boss. With increased flex and 5 dual-track floating head design, get over 60% more head coverage for a faster, closer shave and skin-close results.
No nicks, no scrapes. Fit in the palm of my hand, and the results were amazing.
Shave in the shower or with any foam or gel with Japanese-grade steel blades plow through the thickest of hair. Anytime, anywhere. There's even a pop-up trimmer to complete your perfect groove. Now, you can try the Remington Balder Boss in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. Complete with a 5-year limited warranty and 100% satisfaction guarantee. You can also get our ear, nose, and brow trimmer free. Just pay separate processing and handling.
Give it a try. You won't be disappointed.
Order your
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson's studio, and this is the Stu Benz Senior Services Fund section of the program. And joining us in the studio this morning, it's Glenn Davis. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Let's talk about it. This has been the talk of the town, the ramp guys. Tell me about the ramp guys.
Oh, the ramp guys are fabulous.
Yeah.
They're the greatest bunch of volunteers you'll ever meet.
Yes. How did it get started? For those that don't know, maybe explain a little bit what it is. I mean, you would think the name is a little gives it away. How about that? But tell us what the ramp guys are.
The ramp guys build handicap ramps for accessibility for people that have disabilities, whether they're using walkers or wheelchairs or whatever. And it started actually way back in 1996 was the first ramp. 98. I'm sorry.
Wow.
1998 was the first ramp. And the way it started was the Avoca United Methodist Church at the time burned to the ground in 96. And so we had to build a new one. We had several members of the congregation that had just retired, and they were good handymen. Not carpenters, but good handymen.
Pretty lucky.
They worked with the contractor just like paid employees.
Oh, no kidding.
And Dan Reppert and some of his friends at the Bath Methodist Church found out what they were doing and came up and lended a hand also.
Okay.
So then they got the church built, and
they didn't want to quit.
No, got to have another project to do. Dan had started a men's group in the Bath Church to do just certain things, like that, helping people.
Sure.
And so that was the beginning of the ramp, guys, because the guys from Avoca went down and helped the guys down to Bath build that first wheelchair ramp. It was an $800 ramp in 1998.
It's probably changed a little bit.
It's changed a whole lot.
Did you think back in 1998 that it would last this long, that you would be, essentially you did get 700 ramps built so far?
I'm sure that nobody had any idea that it would ever blow. In the early days, they'd only build a handful every year because there wasn't altogether that much call.
Sure.
Today it's 30, 40, 50 a year.
Wow.
And so it's really ballooned. And the opportunity for us to help as many people as we have is just phenomenal.
And I definitely want to talk about that in just a little bit. But how long does a typical project take?
Well, to actually build the ramp, usually a half a day or a little better.
Oh, okay.
Usually we meet at the warehouse. We work out of the SPCA building in Bath. Okay. And they had a big truck bay they weren't using for animals.
Oh,
so
wow.
They let us store our materials in there and use it as a workshop. So we meet there at 8 o'clock in the morning, load up the trucks, and go to the job site.
Isn't that fun?
And if we don't run into any major problems, by 2 o'clock, we're usually done. Sometimes it goes a little longer.
Sure.
But,
how many volunteers do you have?
23.
Wow. That's a good, we on this program talk about community involvement, and there's, how there's kind of this lack of community involvement, it seems like. So it's so amazing to see an organization like Ramp Guys have that many volunteers that are willing to put that much time in to get to 700 ramps since its beginning. And it's just amazing. What did it mean for the volunteers when you hit 700?
Oh, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
These guys they just loved it,
Yeah.
And in this case, we built it for a member of our congregation in the middle of our community, our little Avoca community. And so all the neighbors were there, members of the church were there, as well as the media.
Yeah.
And they really loved it. And I was so happy to see the volunteers get some recognition.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm a volunteer too.
Yeah.
I don't care about recognition.
No.
And I tell everybody, volunteer, we get paid the most of anybody.
It's true.
Not the people who work for a living.
Right.
We're volunteer. But when we see people going down a ramp, crying because they can now get in and out of their home without having to fall and get hurt.
Right.
Just that's all the things you need.
What an amazing feeling.
You can't put money on that thing.
No. How did you first get involved?
Well, Dan Reppert, who started this group, happened to be a personal friend of mine. Okay. And when he found out that I was retiring in 2011, he recruited me.
You just volunteered, right? Yeah.
And I was really quite honored to think that they asked me. I always looked up to these guys like,
oh yeah,
these are gods. They're,
Yeah.
And I was so thankful that he asked me.
Yeah.
And then after just a short time, he came to me and said, "Hey, my health is beginning to fail. I can't take the leadership role anymore. I need to have you take it over." And I said, "Well, I'm the newest guy on the list."
That's how it works.
He said, "Well, all the rest of them are still willing to build ramps.
Yeah,
they'll work. You haven't got a problem there."
So you don't have any problem with all your volunteers. I mean, they're ready and willing at any time to essentially build a ramp.
That's right. Wow. We normally work on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay.
Now there's a reason for that, because we're mostly retired.
Right.
And they like their Mondays and Fridays to go along with their weekend for family things.
Yeah, of course.
And at our age, I think our average age has got to be about 75.
Oh my goodness.
We got several over 80.
No kidding. Wow.
And we can't stand to work 2 days in a row.
Right.
So
Why should
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And if it's a rainy day, we work in the warehouse and we pre-build the base frames.
Okay.
And if it's a good day, we go out and put them together.
So it's almost, I'm assuming, when you guys get together, it must almost be like being a part of a club, right?
It's a fellowship like no other.
Like with all the jokes, and I'm sure you must have a blast.
They pick on each other, and just I sometimes warn the people ahead of time that we're building the ramp for. If you hear a whole lot of hollering and hooting, it's just these guys having a wonderful time doing it.
Oh, isn't that great? Now, what is the typical? Because we talked about the first ramp and the cost. Have you had trouble with the, obviously with the economy and things like that, with the cost of ramps? Has it skyrocketed?
Oh, it sure has. I used to get plywood for $35 a sheet, and then it went to $95 a sheet during the pandemic.
Wow.
Now it's back down around $59, so it's come back down some. But yeah, it has put a hurt on the finances. There's no doubt about that.
And how do you get your funding?
Pardon?
How do you get your funding? How do you get your
funding? If it's senior citizens, it comes through the Office of the Aging.
Okay.
People call to the Office of the Aging. Actually, it's New York Connects, which is part of the Office of the Aging.
Right.
And they'll do an interview and figure out who's eligible for funding.
Okay.
And then they send me an email and with an address and a phone number, and we're off and running.
Oh, that's great.
And if they're not eligible for funding, then it comes back to me, and our church has a fund.
Okay.
It's because of donations, fundraisers. We have enough money in there that we can take care of building some ramps for people that don't have any other funding.
Do you have fundraisers specifically for ramp guys, or it's just through the church?
Just through the church. We haven't done a specific fundraiser for that, but we get donations. Lots of times we build a ramp for somebody, and then after the fact, they'll send a donation to the church thanking us. Not necessarily the people we built it for, but family, friends, acquaintances.
Wow. Well, if someone wants to donate, they're watching now, or wants to get involved, what's the best way to do that?
Well, the best way to do it is if they want to get involved, donations are prime, actually, because without the money to buy the funds, we're not going to build very many ramps.
Right.
So checks to the Office of the Aging.
Okay.
It's the Bend County Office of the Aging. And they'll put that into a ramp fund, and that will help anybody that's over 62 that is eligible.
Okay.
And if they want, they can also send checks to the Avoca Methodist Church, which is on Jacob's Ladder Road, 8593 Jacob's Ladder Road. And we have a separate ramp fund, and that money will go into there. And I have to keep a pretty good balance in that fund because when we get materials, I buy a truckload at a time.
Oh, wow.
And a truckload of lumber today is $5,000, $6,000, $7,000.
Yeah.
So, but we buy it out of that fund, and then as we use it and build ramps, as the donations come in or as reimbursement comes in, well, then that money goes back into that fund, builds it up, and it's a revolving fund.
Well, it must be nice to have the storage space then to be able to do that.
Yeah. Thank the Lord for the SPCA in Bath.
Yeah.
They let us use that warehouse, and it's big enough to store the materials and big enough that we can work inside if it rains. So.
Isn't that wonderful? And I'm looking at some of the research that I did before our talk. You've received some pretty neat awards through the years, but I think going back to what you were saying, it's the most rewarding part is the people, right?
Yeah,
do you have any stories you could share with some of the? They're all success stories, but some of the ones that maybe just caught you more than others.
Yeah, there's been several. The one in particular that comes to mind is there was a lady that was wheelchair bound, and so every morning her husband got up, went down to the local diner, had a cup of coffee, read the newspaper, then he came home and got her up and fixed her breakfast, etc.
Yeah.
And so once we got the ramp done, he went down as usual to get his cup of coffee and read the newspaper.
Yeah.
And after a few minutes, this little voice behind him says, "Do you always sit here alone?" And it was his wife.
Isn't that wonderful?
She'd gone down the ramp
and
went down to the diner and joined him. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
No, and that's why you've lasted so long, and that's why you're at 700 ramps. 70 was a long time ago. Yeah. 700 ramps. So the best way are donations. What if someone needs a ramp?
If they need a ramp, if they're 62 or older, call the Office of the Aging.
Okay.
Or New York Connects. And that's the office is in Bath. It's 607-664-2322. I had to look because I couldn't remember it. I have it on speed dial, obviously.
Right.
And if they're not 62, then they need to either get a hold of the Avoca Methodist Church or call me directly.
Right. And right at the beginning of May is when you hit the 700 mark. What are you up to now?
We've completed 704, so we've done 4 since
So it
then.
really is that quick of a pace then?
Yes.
Wow, no kidding. Well, I was going to say we'll have you back on at 1,000. How's that? But at that pace, that might be fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm not sure I'm going to last that
No,
long,
of
but
course
we'll
not.
try.
No, but what an amazing organization. And I'm sure I speak for everybody watching that we thank you for all that you do, and I'm sure you hear that a lot, but what an amazing community-minded group.
They really are. It started out with just a handful of United Methodist men.
Yeah.
And now we have members in our crew from all different denominations, and that has absolutely nothing to do with it. They're just all God-fearing men, and our motto is to help a neighbor in need.
Boy,
and that's what we do.
We need more people with that attitude. Glenn, thanks so much for being on the show this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
And good luck with the next 700.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
Hi, I'm Suzanne. Welcome to Pangea Global Tea House.
Pangea Global Tea House offers comfort foods of the world. Over 50 teas, a sampling of cuisine from over 10 countries. Globally inspired cuisine and striving to give you an ultimate experience. Come in and try the Frankly Delicious Turkey Club Special for just $20, including your beverage of choice. Pangea Global Tea House. Yet a really good tea house bringing you the flavors of the world, offering something for everyone.
Bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath and Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. This is not a cookie cutter design. This is a complete custom build that will fit your every need. It's never been easier or more affordable than right now to get the bathroom of your dreams. We have the best monthly programs in the industry with payments as low as $99 per month or no payments, no interest for 18 months with approved credit. The hardest part of your new bathroom is gutting and building the tub and shower. If your bathing area is old, there could be damage behind the walls and possible mold and mildew, which can be a serious safety issue. At BCI, we don't cover a problem, we fix it. Call now to get a never clean glass treated door with a no-track system at half off for the first 50 callers. Factory trained, certified installers made in the USA and discounts for seniors and military. Call 800-704-1798. That's 800-704-1798.
Getting aerial video for a commercial used to be extremely expensive, but not anymore. WYDC TV Big Fox now offers the Twin Tiers amazing aerial video for your business. We do it with our state-of-the-art drone and commercially licensed aerial pilot. Beautiful HD aerial video and pictures custom-made for your commercial. Call or email now to advertise on Big Fox TV and let everyone see your business in a whole new way.
And welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. And thank you so much to Glenn Davis for being a part of our Steuben Senior Services Fund section of the program. Isn't that an amazing organization? You can tell just by talking with him the pride that he has for the ramps that they've built. And again, we've talked so often about community on this show, and I can't think of a finer example of the community coming together. So thank you very much to Glenn Davis for being on the show. A comment we received during the interview: I believe that the media only likes Republicans that bash other Republicans. Yes. Will Haley's apparent flip-flop on Trump? They appear to be angst. Let's call it another point on the Trump scoreboard. That is a great point, and I couldn't agree more. That's why you have the Liz Cheney's out there. It goes back to John McCain. It goes back way before that, but John McCain was one that sticks in my mind because he was a maverick, because he would, badmouth Republican policies or go against Republican policies. And I think he felt confident that he would have the media support when he got the nomination. He got the nomination, and within seconds, they came out with stories suggesting that he had an affair, went after him like they do, full force of the media. So going back to Nikki Haley, if Nikki Haley would have received the nomination, I've said it a million times, she would have been treated in the same fashion. They would have went after her like they're going after her now for supporting Trump. So to that point, Stephen Collinson from CNN said, now Haley is saying out loud she's voting for Trump. But she had little choice but to join the herd if she wants a future in a party dominated by its presumptive nominee. There's not much of a path in emulating former Wyoming Representative Liz Cheney, a one-time rising GOP star who's become an example of what happens to conservative foreign policy hawks who refuse to temper warnings that Trump is a danger to democracy. Now, they always write this in a way that assumes that you believe that Trump is a threat to democracy, that he is a threat to our future, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how this is written. There's every sign that Haley wants to run again for president. So the idea here that Stephen Collinson has is she did this to preserve her future, preserve her career. But to the viewer's comment, and I believe it was the 6 o'clock hour, saying she's a Republican. So why is it a shock that she would be voting for the Republican? I think it goes back to the Romney factor of him endorsing, for all intents and purposes, Hillary Clinton. The choice for Republicans who dislike Trump and are considering Biden is a more complex question in this election than the previous one. Now Biden is the incumbent with a list of achievements and policies that directly contradict the core beliefs of many Republicans. Yeah, because we like peace and prosperity, and that's not what we're receiving, so I understand where there could be an issue there. Memories of the chaos of the Trump administration have also diminished. Traditional national, and again, you have to accept the chaos, not the chaos that the media created in many instances. The chaos where it was nonstop coverage of a non-scandal. Memories of the chaos of the Trump administration have diminished. Traditional national security Republicans may also perceive global war and chaos and Biden's growing feud with a right-wing Israeli prime minister as a reason not to switch their vote. Wow, right-wing. Interesting. A lot of Republicans are making the same calculation because the performance of the Biden administration has been so appalling, said John Bolton. And then he quotes, and there's a lot more to this piece, and we're not going to go into it, but he said, rightly or wrongly, chaos follows Trump. Haley complained at almost every event. We have too much division in this country. We have too much threats around the world to be sitting in chaos once again, Haley would say about Trump. But that's the chaos she'll be voting for in November. Now, at MSNBC, Joy Reid, or I'm sorry, it wasn't Joy Reid, it was Nicole Wallace, taking it a little bit further. She was on the program Deadline. And NBC reporter Vaughn Hilliard said, Nikki Haley in 2015 said, Donald Trump is everything I taught my children not to do in kindergarten. I told my little ones, you don't lie and make things up. She ended up serving in his administration. Wallace just can't believe it. Who are these people? Hilliard continued. On January 6th, she called it an ugly day. She then said, a couple months later, that she wouldn't run against him for president. She ended up running for president. And then we saw Nikki Haley while her husband was deployed to Africa with U.S. Armed Services, mocked by Donald Trump for being away. And it was the words of Nikki Haley that were very explicit about Donald Trump. She said in part that they were disgusting, awful, and unhinged, and said that that somebody that makes comments like that doesn't deserve to be commander-in-chief. Her own husband got on social media and fired back and said the difference between humans and animals would never allow the dumbest ones to lead the pack. His allies pushed extramarital affair rumors about her. This is somebody who suggested that she may not be eligible to run for president because her parents are immigrants. And today, her announcing she's going to vote for Donald Trump is just, I think, another chapter in something we've already lived out with the likes of Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio 8 years ago. She did raise her hand in that Republican debate and said she would vote for a convicted felon if Donald Trump was found guilty. And today, as evidence, she's sticking to her word. Now, where was this outline of things that they had problems with in the past? But Wallace then says, we need shrinks and cult experts to explain this because what you're reporting doesn't make a lick of sense to me. And it's so recent. I mean, J.D. Vance in 2015 said something similar. But for her and her husband to both have been feuding publicly with him just days and weeks before endorsing him is inexplicable to me at a human level. Well, Hilliard responded, I think it's power. And I think in American politics, access to power and a party that you identify with is a future. I think that we have a great share of individuals that have proved this time and again. That staying closely associated to Donald Trump is a guarantee that you're relevant within politics if you choose to remain in politics. Wallace says it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So we need shrinks and cult experts to understand the thinking of a Republican voting for a Republican. Here's a comment from a viewer. Just so Nikki Haley isn't considered for VP. Yes, I know there were some rumors about that for a little bit. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Trump campaign shot that down. I don't believe that will be the case, but how many times have we said on this program, you never know what decision President Trump will make. I've got a couple other things on that. Few more. Wow, we are moving fast. Yeah, I got to take a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Our water's better tasting. It's better for the planet.
That's great, sir. Can I take your order?
Oh, number 3.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install our drinking water and softening systems, we're thinking about filtering contaminants and the minerals that make water hard. So you can just think about softer, cleaner, better tasting water. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
Could whiten your teeth by simply brushing your teeth. Now you can with Smile Actives, the teeth whitening breakthrough that safely gets your teeth white and keeps them white every day just by brushing your teeth. Simply add Smile Actives to any toothpaste and our patented PolyClean technology activates into a powerful microfoam that penetrates into the enamel surface to safely lift and remove stains.
You need a simple way to whiten your teeth. Without strips, without trays, without going to the dentist.
I eat the blueberries, I drink the coffee, and I know that Smile Actives will keep my teeth white every day.
Now you can whiten your teeth with new Smile Actives Pro Whitening Gel every time you brush your teeth. Call or go to smileactives.com and for a limited time get new Pro Whitening Gel for just $24.95. Order in the next 5 minutes and buy one, get one absolutely free. We'll even include free shipping. Call or click now before the special buy one, get one free offer goes away.
And we are back, Frankly Speaking, here on WYDC TV. Big Fox comment from a viewer. Every time I hear Liz Cheney's name, I think about when commentators on the left wished that her dad's heart would heave out of his chest when he had his heart attack. I just don't understand how she could have attached herself to the Dems. That's the problem I've had with her, Mitt Romney, so many others, that they go to the outlets that were so despicable to either them or their family. Because the media didn't like Liz Cheney when she wasn't bad-mouthing Trump. So it's tough to watch. I mean, they want to talk about Nikki Haley. She's selling out, essentially, by supporting Trump. Who are the real sellouts that are going to the outlets that hated them or hated their family and is still willing to get that attention by bad-mouthing Republicans? So that's why I disagree with some of what Stephen Collinson and others are saying. I think there is a future, at least in the media, if you badmouth Republicans. Chris Christie is another fine example. I see they're going after Doug Burgum now, that he blasted Trump back in 2016. The Clintons may be the luckiest family in the world because Bill doesn't win in 1992 without Ross Perot, and Hillary doesn't win in 2016 without Donald Trump. There's a lot of people who thought they were the smartest people in the room around 2016, wasn't there? But anyways, so now he's trying to be Trump's VP. I wouldn't say, is that blasting Trump? There was a lot of Republicans that said similar things at that time. They were clearly wrong. They didn't understand the way the politics were changing. They didn't understand that and I don't want to name any names, but anybody else that was a potential presidential candidate for the Republicans that year, if they would have debated Hillary, would have never stood a chance in the old politics way of things. Hillary in the Clinton machine wouldn't have happened without kind of an outsider like Trump. But now, and they gave some other quotes. So I don't know, because I've had a lot of questions about Burgum. I think we all have, not good or bad questions, just questions in general, not knowing a lot about him. So now I find it a little intriguing that the media is trying to go after him. So does that make him a good candidate? Should we go that crazy? Or does it just make us pique our interest? Let's say it piques my interest anytime they try to dig up reasons to quote-unquote disqualify a VP pick for Trump. Now, Trump revealed a new debate format for the upcoming showdown. Yes, it is really upcoming, a little over a month away. Donald Trump revealed yesterday that he has agreed to sit at a table with Joe Biden, despite his strong preference to stand. I'm not sure. I know Trump said anytime, anywhere, anyplace. So he has, in essence, painted himself into a corner. But boy, there seems to be a lot of giving. I was hoping, I think many of you were, to see, because a lot of this is because, let's face it, not everybody watches politics all day, every day. A lot of it, for some people, is the biggest chance they have of watching both candidates, or these debates, because it's almost like a heavyweight fight or a football game, right? So they'll tune that one in where they won't watch the nightly news. So standing, the idea was to see the health factor play in here. I hear now we're sitting at tables. I don't want to sit at tables. Former President Trump said at WABC 770 AM. I said, no, let's stand. But they want to sit at a table. So we'll be sitting at a table as opposed to doing it the way you should be, in my opinion, in a debate. He explained that his personal preference would be to walk out to a podium and stand for an hour and a half or 2 hours. But they have Biden sitting at a table, so that's not so good. Calling the seated debate format one of many requests the Biden campaign insisted on. Yeah, I think once Trump called Biden's bluff, that's when they really started with the laundry list of demands, for lack of a better word. But I agree to the request because I want to debate him. If Biden gets through the debate, they'll say it was brilliant. And that's what we've been saying on the program a lot. Maybe Trump's been watching. Thank you, Mr. President. But yeah, he basically just has to make it through the debate, say even very little, and they'll say it was a great performance, the greatest performance he's ever given, the best performance he could give when it was needed most, that kind of idea. But you know the desperation that they asked for these debates as an incumbent president, asking for these debates this early on. We know there's some desperation there, but when Trump called the bluff, that's when they realized they had to put all these caveats in, these riders. It's unclear if the seated format will be for both debates. There'll be no live audience at either forum. That's also a demand from the Biden campaign. So the first one coming up already on June the 27th. Let's take our last break, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, please stay with us.
Attention, if you were a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
This is the make or break moment.
Oh my goodness!
Not just for the day, but for the years to come. This is where a race isn't just about the race. It's about the doors it can open.
That kid is amazing.
The number of fans wearing your number. This is the chance to carve your name into the history books. This is the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Something with a diamond in it.
Diamondback rattlesnake.
It's in the name. Name a low-calorie food you might make your edible underwear out of.
Salmon.
Watch it weeknights. Share it the next day.
Wild caught Norwegian teriyaki.
Share in the fun. Weeknights on Family Feud.
7 and 7:30 on Big Fox.
And And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. And we're just wrapping up the show, so we're going to go through a lot of quick hits here. But before that, here's a comment from a viewer. Frank, today appears to be a record wave day. You'll probably be on the news tonight. Yes, 15 waves. I didn't even notice. They were coming in so hot and heavy there for a while. And then we had people walking by, sometimes two at a time waving. You're right, 15. I probably will be on the news. I think it's newsworthy. Well, we are the news here on Frankly Speaking, and we're bringing it up now. So we made the news. Did you see, just because, again, something that the legacy media not really reporting on, vials, this is nasty, vials of blood addressed to Donald Trump were delivered to the RNC headquarters. The RNC thanking law enforcement who responded quickly and ensured everyone's safety. The revolting attack comes on the heels of pro-Hamas protesters violently demonstrating on college campuses and deranged Biden supporters physically attacking our campaign volunteers for supporting President Trump, the GOP leader added. Just mentioning that quickly because I'm not sure if you would see that elsewhere. They don't seem to like to report on things affecting Republicans. Did you see Hunter's laptop is finally deemed real? From the Biden Justice Department, coming from the New York Post editorial board that was censored because of the reporting on Hunter's laptop. It's already been confirmed as 100% real 8 ways from Sunday. But in case anybody still needed proof that the Biden laptop is real, look no further than the Biden Justice Department. Yes, special counsel David Wise is going to submit the laptop as evidence against Hunter in his upcoming gun trial. The irony is all the more delicious given that Wise is best known for working as point man on Big Guy Joe's efforts to make sure the first son faced no real punishment. It's the real McCoy, folks, as politicians and the media lie to us constantly, calling it such things as Russian disinformation and the like. Now, Hunter Biden is being hounded by truth and justice, and he only has his repeated lies to blame, according to Miranda Devine. Refusing to concede the laptop is his and pretending it might have been stolen by Russians or hacked by Rudy Giuliani has long been Hunter's mantra. But special counsel David Wise and his deputies, Derek Hines and Leo Wise, demolished the tall tales in a brutal memo, one of 13 lodged with the court. The defendant's theory about the laptop is a conspiracy theory with no supporting evidence. Hunter's laptop is real. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, he kept trying to hide it, and we've seen some of the pictures, and I don't think anybody can really blame him. A couple international stories to get to. Hey, we got another wave. Look at this. You're right. This is record-breaking. Mark your calendars, folks. You were a part of history on this day. 16 waves on Frankly Speaking. Maybe I might have even missed some. The numbers start getting that high. You feel like you've got Kardashians on Twitter kind of numbers at that point. China holds war games around Taiwan and vows flowing blood. This is very, well, we talked about it with former Congressman Tom Reed. It's not about if they go into Taiwan. It's about when, and they've seen the weakness, unfortunately, in this administration, and are clearly not concerned, whether it's because of the Afghanistan pullout, because of our weakening towards our ally Israel. It comes as no surprise. And China is actively arming Putin's war in Ukraine. That's what the UK has confirmed about this evil alliance. Again, we've talked about it a million times on this program. Our threats of China, Russia, and Iran. And it seems like we find more and more every day. And as more examples of it every day. And as we head out the door, the final record-breaking wave, folks, sitting at 17 waves. Thank you to everybody who joined us. Thank you to everybody who waved. Thanks for all the comments. And, of course, thank you to Glenn Davis from the Ramp Guys for being on our program this morning. Please join us tomorrow. You know we always have a lot of fun, and as you can tell, we have fun every day. But on Fridays, we just seem to cover a lot of topics. Oh, my goodness, I was wrong. We got one more. I better wrap up before the numbers just go off the screen. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. We will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, with Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Attention Twin Tier homeowners.
Are you tired of paying too much for your energy bills? It's time you discover Koala Insulation of the Southern Tier, a premier insulation contractor. The professionals at Koala Insulation can give you a free, no-obligation insulation evaluation. It's one of the best home improvement investments you can make. Give us a call at 607-463-0616.
Discover Koala Insulation of Southern Tier. We are fully insured. Visit koalainsulation.com and find us near you.